I found that my wife's lingerie had a smell of cigarette smoke, but I don't smoke. Can you stop being so sensitive? If you have the guts, just divorce me. Evelyn said it with great confidence. I blinked my eyes and was staring blankly while holding that lingerie that had been permeated with the smell. She didn't know that I had transmigrated into this body. To me, she was nothing at all. Coming back to my senses, I smiled and replied to her, "Sure, let's get a divorce then." The room suddenly fell silent. Evelyn put away her original proud posture and looked at me in shock. What did you say?" Looking at this strange and inexplicably confident woman in front of me, I just felt it was ridiculous. I said, "Let's get a divorce." I casually threw her lingerie on the floor. "Didn't you want a divorce?" "I don't care about it either, so let's get it over with." Evelyn slightly furrowed her brows and looked at me with a cold face. "Daniel, what kind of trick are you playing again? I've already said that it's just your illusion. Besides, when I go out to work, I can't avoid dealing with others. Even if I get a bit of cigarette smell on me, it's normal. Can you stop being so sensitive?" "Yeah, right. Dealing with others to the extent that even the lingerie gets the smell of cigarettes, right? What's the deal? Did someone smoke right in your cleavage?" She doesn't even bother to make up a decent lie. Does she really think I'm an idiot? I casually sat on the chair. "It's just a divorce. You keep nagging on and on. Aren't you annoying?" Evelyn was taken aback, seemingly unable to believe that I would treat her like this. I crossed my legs and continued, "Oh, right, there's one more thing." Upon hearing this, Evelyn interrupted me with an impatient look. "Daniel, when are you going to stop making a scene?" She paused, let out a sigh, and then said, "Yes, you were on a business trip and hadn't come home last night. I was in a bad mood and had a few more drinks. Coincidentally, Julian called. We both drank too much. It wasn't on purpose. I admit that I'm partly at fault, but aren't you at fault either? Every time there's a small matter, you keep arguing and won't listen to anyone's explanation. Is it interesting to be so aggressive?" I looked at her calmly and listened to her shouting as if nothing had happened. I even took out my phone and started watching short videos. I originally wanted to have a good talk with her about the issue of property distribution, but before I could say anything, she got all worked up. What a waste. Seeing that I was ignoring her, Evelyn asked suspiciously, "Did you hear what I just said?" I looked up at her. "It's all nonsense. Is there any need to listen?" "Daniel, I'm not in the mood to joke with you. Can you stop being so unreasonable?" Evelyn broke down. "Keep your voice down. It's too noisy." Someone downstairs came to knock on the door to give a warning. Evelyn's face turned livid, and she shut up. I just stared at her. "What are you looking at? Do you think I'm good-looking and regret cheating on me?" I spread my hands and sneered. You still have the nerve to joke." After a moment of silence, Evelyn compromised again. "Forget it. We both need some time to calm down. I'll go stay somewhere else tonight. Let's talk about other things after we've all settled down tomorrow." The Civil Affairs Bureau had already closed today. If we kept arguing, there wouldn't be any result either, and it would just add to the unpleasantness. So I didn't insist and let her go. After Evelyn left, I was lying on the sofa feeling bored, but my eyes were drawn to a wedding photo on the low table. Since I transmigrated, I also received the memories of the original owner in my mind. These memories emerged one by one at this moment. "Evelyn, I know you and Julian were childhood sweethearts, but you're married now. You're my wife. Don't you understand the most basic principle of keeping a distance from other men? What are you shouting for? Julian is like family to me. What's wrong with me being close to him? Whose fault is it that you're so easily led astray? To put it bluntly, if I really had something with him, would it even be your turn?" This was the quarrel that broke out a month ago when the original owner was furious because Evelyn went to Julian's house to visit him when he was sick and didn't come home all night. Daniel was making the most heart-wrenching accusation against Evelyn. He was questioning her, accusing her. He couldn't accept Evelyn's perfunctory attitude towards their marriage, yet he couldn't help but love her. He was in pain, he was anxious, and he was helpless. How he wanted to ask her that if she liked Julian so much, why did she agree to marry him in the first place? Daniel pressed down on Evelyn's shoulders, and his eyes were full of anger and pain. But Evelyn still turned a blind eye and fobbed him off with the sentence, "People with a dirty mind see everything as dirty." Even when she knew that Daniel loved her deeply, and he was torn between wanting to separate and not being able to bear it, and was suffering in a dilemma, she used divorce as a threat to intimidate him into shutting up. She said, "Daniel, you don't understand me at all, don't forgive me, don't tolerate me, and you're always overthinking. What's the point of living like this? Still, if you have the guts, get a divorce. I'm too lazy to put up with your temper. My chest felt a bit stuffy. Even breathing became difficult. This should be the physical reaction of the original owner's body. I have no way of knowing why the original owner was so deeply in love, nor do I know the process from when he got to know Evelyn to their marriage. I only know that since I transmigrated, the Evelyn I've been facing is a person who has no sense of propriety, lies all the time, is a master of PUA, and is irritable and quick-tempered. Oh, and she's also a bitch who has cheated both mentally and physically. Until now, I probably have a bit of an idea of why I transmigrated into this body out of the blue. Since the original owner couldn't let go, then I'll have to do it for him. The night passed quickly. The next day, Evelyn came back with breakfast. She handed me the steamed buns and soybean milk. Have you calmed down? I glanced at them and brushed them aside with my hand. She frowned unhappily. Daniel, there's a limit to your fooling around. Evelyn's face darkened, and a hint of sharpness showed in her eyes. Cut the crap. I took out a sandwich from the cabinet, took a bite. You've already cheated on me. This isn't something that can be solved just by calming down. Tell me, when do you have time? We'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and get the divorce certificate. Evelyn frowned even more tightly. Are you still angry just because of that piece of lingerie? Daniel, will you ever stop? Just because of a piece of lingerie? You really feel like laughing when you're speechless. Evelyn, are you even talking like a human being? I think your cerebellum is underdeveloped and your cerebrum is completely undeveloped to say such things. I looked at her with disdain, and she happened to look over at the same time. When our eyes met, I saw the anger flaring up in her eyes. Daniel, don't force me to fall out with you. Otherwise, you'll regret it too late, Evelyn said in a threatening tone. Just as I was about to curse back, her phone rang. Evelyn glanced at the caller ID and slightly furrowed her brows. She turned around and answered the phone. Julian, what's up? No wonder she had such a strange look. So it's the adulterer. Evelyn, why are you so cold to me today? Are you still angry with me about that thing? Julian's voice came from the other end of the phone. Evelyn glanced at me and replied, no. I know we both drank too much that time. I don't blame you. But, how are you going to explain it to Daniel? I don't want to be the cause of disharmony between you and your husband. Then I'll really be a sinner through the ages. Damn, what a male green tea. I hate two kinds of creatures the most in my life, those who cheat and green tea people. Well, now I've met both of them. Before Evelyn could answer, I snatched the phone. You're quite good at acting, aren't you, buddy? Instead of being a proper man, you like being the other man, right? And even if you're the other man, you're a green tea. Your ancestors in the underworld would probably come back to life out of anger. We're all men. I'm giving you some good advice. Do something decent in the future. Don't keep picking up what I've already discarded. It's embarrassing. With that, I hung up the phone neatly. Evelyn stared blankly at what I had just done and it took her a while to come to her senses. Daniel, what are you doing? She slapped at me in a fit of rage, but I blocked it in advance and slapped her back. A resounding slap landed on her face. It stunned Evelyn. I was so busy scolding him just now that I forgot to scold you. I glared at her. To put it bluntly, you're a slut. What are you pretending to be high and mighty for in front of me? Before, I was too lazy to argue with you when you shouted a few words, but you just keep pushing your luck, don't you? You cheated on me during our marriage, slept with someone else, and refused to admit it at first. You only admitted it after being exposed, and then you started playing the "it wasn't on purpose" trick and even tried to shift all the blame onto me. You're really something. Evelyn, did both of your parents die and no one taught you anything, or what? How could you do such a disgusting thing? In ancient times, you would have been drowned in a pig cage, do you know that? A shameless slut like you is just wasting air when you're alive and will waste the land when you're dead. Damn it, this is really bad luck. The surroundings fell into a deathly silence. Evelyn slightly opened her mouth and stared at me in a daze. After a long while, she came to her senses, and her eyes were filled with anger. How dare you hit me? Evelyn covered her stinging face and raised her voice at me, saying, I know I made a mistake with Julian after drinking, but I've already admitted my mistake. What else do you want? I understand that you're jealous, and I also understand that you're angry, but this isn't a reason for you to be unreasonable and commit domestic violence. Daniel, you've really gone too far this time. Evelyn was really furious. She was extremely angry, but at the same time, she couldn't help feeling a bit flustered and at a loss. Her husband, who had been so patient and submissive to her before, suddenly changed his nature. An unprecedented sense of crisis welled up inside her. However, this feeling made her uncomfortable. So she had to forcefully suppress the emotions in her heart and continued to threaten me in her usual tone. "Daniel, if you keep this up, we can't go on like this anymore." She thought I would be scared by such words and behave myself from then on. But I'm not the original Daniel anymore. Divorce. I couldn't ask for anything better. So, as I said before, let's get a divorce then. I shrugged and said indifferently. You're simply unreasonable. Evelyn had a dark face, and there was an unquenchable hostility in her eyes. Let's get a divorce then. If you have the guts, don't regret it. After saying that, she left in a huff. We agreed to get a divorce, didn't we? Why not go to the Civil Affairs Bureau first? What's the deal with leaving as soon as there's a disagreement? What's more, she ran so fast that I couldn't even catch her. I sat at the table, drank a cup of soybean milk gloomily, and thought that I might as well take a rest first and then call her to meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau in the afternoon. The morning passed quickly. While I was having a meal, someone knocked on the door. I opened the door and saw that it was Evelyn's assistant. Some memories immediately flooded into my mind. To be honest, this assistant was actually chosen by the original owner for Evelyn. When Evelyn and Daniel first got married, she was just an ordinary employee in a company, but Daniel had already founded a small company. The repetitive and unchanging work day after day made Evelyn feel restless and impatient. What's more, she happened to encounter the company's layoffs, and her mood plummeted. However, Daniel's company had a bright future. Under the huge gap, Evelyn became more and more self-conscious. Daniel noticed Evelyn's anxiety and took the initiative to suggest that Evelyn manage the company with him. "But I don't know anything. How can I help you manage it?" "It's okay. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry." In this way, Daniel taught Evelyn step by step, starting from the basics. At first, Evelyn wasn't very confident, but after a long time, she became proficient and energetic. Then Daniel let Evelyn take care of the affairs in his hands and stepped back into the background himself. It was also at this time that Daniel helped Evelyn recruit her current assistant. From a laid-off small employee to a company manager, Evelyn only took 2.5 years. Since then, she had completed the transformation from a little woman to a strong female lead. I looked at this little assistant in front of me and smiled politely. "Miss, is there anything you want from me?" The assistant looked a bit confused at first, but soon she said seriously, "Mr. Daniel, Evelyn asked me to pick you up and take you to the Civil Affairs Bureau." After that, she added, "It's about the divorce." I nodded and followed her. However, when we went downstairs and got in the car, the assistant said to me without considering the consequences, "Mr. Daniel, I'll say one more thing. I hope you don't mind. Evelyn and Julian are not only childhood sweethearts, but they also have constant cooperation and communication. Your possessiveness is so strong that it has seriously affected Evelyn's cooperation. This is no longer the old society. Women are independent now and have the right and freedom to work and socialize on their own. They won't be restricted and suppressed by men anymore. Evelyn didn't do anything wrong. You should be considerate of Evelyn and reflect on yourself more." I looked at the assistant in surprise. The assistant bowed and opened the car door for me, then smiled and asked me, "Mr. Daniel, don't you think I'm right?" I was amused. I thought that the unequal treaty only applied between Daniel and Evelyn, but I didn't expect that even a powerless employee could easily step on Daniel's head. "Since you know you're being talkative, then don't say it. Do you think you're so special?" I sneered. What did you say?" The smile on the assistant's face froze, and she looked at me blankly. Actually, she wasn't really unable to hear what I just said. She was just feeling uneasy because of my sudden change in personality. As the founder of the company, the original owner was naturally much better than Evelyn, who was a connected person who joined halfway. However, even Evelyn's little assistant could ride roughshod over the original owner. One can imagine how worthless the original owner was in Evelyn's eyes. However, Daniel was willing to endure for Evelyn, but I'm not him. I reached out and pressed the assistant's shoulder, forcing her to keep the bowing posture, and asked with a smile, "What's the matter? Now even the dog beside Evelyn can order me around?" The assistant's face instantly changed. "Mr. Daniel, I said the wrong thing. You're magnanimous. Please don't be angry with me." She lowered her head, looking flustered. "Don't call me Mr. Daniel." I adjusted my cuff and got into the car. "Evelyn's company is mine. To be honest, the person you should be serving is me. Don't let me hear the words, Mr. Daniel, from your mouth again. Call me General Manager Daniel." "Yes, General Manager Daniel." The assistant swallowed hard and averted her gaze from me. When closing the door, I said, "After you take me to the Civil Affairs Bureau, go to the company reception desk to settle your salary." "General Manager Daniel, you're firing me?" The assistant couldn't believe her ears. She widened her eyes and unwillingly grabbed the corner of the car door. "You can't do this. I'm Evelyn's personal assistant." "Evelyn's personal assistant? Fine. Very good. So what if you're a personal assistant?" I smiled at her. "Have you fulfilled the responsibilities of an assistant? Have you done what an assistant should do? If all you can do is bark behind Evelyn, why don't I just keep a chihuahua? Also, since you're as deaf as Evelyn, I'll repeat it again. The shares in the company are mine, and Evelyn is just a figurehead. Not to mention a little assistant like you. I can fire you if I want. Even Evelyn herself, I'll fire her today as well." "What, do you have any objections?" The assistant was completely panicked. "I usually receive Julian when he comes to the company. Evelyn can't do without me. If you fire me, it will be difficult to hand over the cooperation with Julian, and it will also be hard to explain to Evelyn." A insignificant assistant actually resorted to threatening people. I pinched her chin and forced her to look me in the eyes. "Don't you understand? There will be no more Evelyn in the future, and my company won't have any dealings with Julian either. You and Evelyn both get out of here." After I finished speaking, I closed the car door and reminded Henry, who was sitting in the driver's seat, to drive. "General Manager Daniel. What's the matter? Do you also want to be fired?" I stared at Henry, who was in a dilemma in the rearview mirror, and asked in a more serious tone. "Please sit tight. I'll drive right away." Outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, Evelyn had already grown impatient with waiting. As soon as I got out of the car, she walked over unhappily. "Why did it take you so long to? Where's Luna?" Luna was her assistant. "I fired her." "What? She's been with me for so long. How dare you fire her? What right do you have to fire her?" Evelyn's accusatory voice came crashing down on me. I glanced at her indifferently. "I don't like her, so I fired her. Is there a problem?" "You. What about me? I don't like you either, and I'm going to fire you too. Is there a problem?" "Daniel. What are you shouting for? The company is mine, the shares are mine, your current position was given to you by me, and the glamorous life you're living now was also created by me. Since we're getting a divorce, I'll take it all back. Is there a problem?" When I asked her, "Is there a problem?" for the third time, emphasized my tone, and Evelyn finally realized that something was wrong. "Are you serious?" Her eyebrows twitched slightly, and she asked me in disbelief. I smiled. "Do I look like I'm joking with you?" Her expression froze, and she stood there stunned. People came and went around us, and there were quite a few people registering for marriage. Evelyn and I seemed out of place. Her mind was in a mess. She rubbed her head and still felt confused. "You were clearly very tolerant and generous before. Why are you suddenly being so petty? I don't understand. Just because of a trivial matter, you suddenly said you wanted a divorce, then you fired my assistant, and now you want to fire me too. Daniel, you've suddenly changed as if you're a completely different person. Where has the old you gone? Right now, there are a lot of things in the company waiting for me to do. I'm really tired. Can we please stop making a fuss?" The previous Daniel had taken great care of Evelyn, but she didn't appreciate it or cherish it. Well, now that the original owner is gone, she's blaming me for not being as gentle as before? Why didn't she think of this earlier? After all, it all boils down to the word shameless. But I'm even too lazy to scold her. After all, talking to her is like playing the lute to a cow. I think it's a waste of my saliva to say even one more word to her. You keep nagging on and on. I'm tired of listening. I picked my ears. I'll just ask you one thing. Do you want a divorce or not? If you do, let's hurry up. If not, just wait for my lawyer to contact you about the lawsuit. It's your choice, either way. Evelyn's face showed a bit of embarrassment. There's no need to make things so ugly, is there? Her voice dropped, her face was filled with anger, and her eyes were cold. Am I the one making things ugly? She doesn't even consider what caused things to turn out this way. Didn't you cheat first? Didn't you bring up the divorce first? Didn't you ask your assistant to pick me up and take me to the Civil Affairs Bureau for registration? Have I been making a fuss? I retorted. Evelyn was left speechless by my questions. I just... Alright, cut the crap. I still have to go back to the company after this. Don't waste my time. I forcefully dragged her to the registration window. The staff at the window glanced at us. Voluntary divorce? Yes. I replied immediately. On the other hand, Evelyn became hesitant. The staff stared at Evelyn up and down. Young couple, don't file for divorce at the slightest disagreement. The divorce rate is so high nowadays. In fact, you still can't bear to part with each other in your hearts. So why bother? I smiled and nodded. You're right. Who doesn't want to live a stable and good life? But my situation is rather special. As I spoke, I took out the required documents and handed them to the staff. The woman cheated. I have no choice. For a moment, all the eyes in the hall were focused on Evelyn. Evelyn didn't expect that I would openly speak of such a private matter. Caught off guard, her face turned red instantly. Daniel, what are you talking nonsense about? She turned her head and reminded sharply. The staff stopped trying to persuade us. After clicking their tongues a few times, they handled all the divorce procedures for the two of us. When I walked out of the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I left without looking back. Evelyn couldn't help but call out to me, "Don't you have anything you want to say to me?" What should I say? She was silent for a while, and her tense face relaxed a bit. We really don't have to come to this. I couldn't help laughing. The divorce procedures have already been completed, and you're still having such delusions? Daniel, after all these years of our relationship, are you really going to cut off all contact with me just because of one accident? Are you really willing to do that? You care so much about that lingerie. In fact, it's because you care whether I really love you or not, right? You still have feelings for me. I really didn't act appropriately in this matter. Consider it my fault, and I apologize to you. There's still a 30-day cooling-off period. Let's both think about it carefully. After saying that, Evelyn turned around and left. I wanted to argue a few words at first, but then I thought it was pointless and just let her go. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I rushed to the company. The employees in the company weren't used to the changes at first, and I didn't indulge them. Those who could adapt could stay, and those who thought it was impossible without Evelyn could pack their bags and leave. After a round of rectification, the company finally looked a bit more in order. I sorted out the recent documents and found that some accounts didn't match. Looking at the names, I found that they were all cooperation projects with Julian. Evelyn is really generous. She gave away so much money without batting an eyelid. So she used my money to support another man and then unfeelingly used PUA on me? Come on, is she okay in the head? I called the assistant and asked the assistant to make an appointment with Julian to meet, saying that we would discuss the cooperation project. Julian really came as scheduled. When he saw me, he was stunned for a moment first, and then he forced a smile. General Manager Daniel, why are you here? Where's Evelyn? What, are you disappointed to see me? I sat in the boss's chair and smiled at him. Why are you so cautious, Julian? Have a seat. Julian felt embarrassed, took the tea handed over by the assistant and took a sip. I wouldn't dare say I'm disappointed. I didn't mean it that way. It's just that Evelyn has been managing the company before. She's more familiar with these things, and we also. He paused here and then continued, General Manager Daniel, don't think too much. Julian and I really had just an accident. We didn't do it on purpose. I know you're angry, so you can vent your anger on me. Don't make Evelyn sad. Yeah, well said. I clapped my hands at him mockingly, but no matter how familiar Evelyn is with the cooperation, the company still doesn't belong to her in the end. With just a flick of my finger, she can be kicked out, and it's the same in terms of our relationship. Upon hearing this, Julian's face immediately changed. But let's not talk about that for now. I didn't call you here today because of Evelyn. I just want to check some accounts with you. I threw a stack of documents on the table. Give me an explanation, Julian? Julian looked at me with a pale face. He stammered for a long time and then explained, these projects were all handled by me and Evelyn before. You've just taken over, and there may be some things you don't understand yet. You made a mistake. Do you think I'm a fool? We've known each other for a long time, and I'm not an unreasonable person. I smiled and tapped the table with a pen. As long as Julian doubles the repayment, I'll let the past go. Double? When Julian heard this, he couldn't sit still. Daniel, this is going too far with such a huge demand, isn't it? Before calling Julian over, I had someone secretly investigate him. His company's projects have deficits. Not to mention doubling the repayment, even if it's repaid at the original price, he definitely can't afford it. I pretended to be helpless and spread my hands. Then we'll have to meet in court. Daniel, you... Julian angrily slapped the table and stood up. I didn't even look up. I was lowering my head to sort out the documents and called the assistant's name, Maxwell, show the guest out. The assistant half politely and half forcibly escorted Julian out. After Julian was driven away, I prepared the materials and went to apply for a lawsuit. On the way back, a woman bumped directly into my arms. She looked up at me and quickly apologized. I'm sorry. Are you okay? I steadied her steps. I'm fine. How about you? I'm fine too. The woman smiled and shook her head. Oh, by the way, do you know how to get to Yangwangli community? My phone just ran out of power, and I can't use the navigation. Yangwangli? That's where I live. I'm going back there anyway. If you don't mind, we can go together. Thank you then. The woman thanked me. In the car, she talked a lot of everyday things with me. We talked from family situations to personal aspirations. Finally, she talked about the reason why she ran out of the hotel at night and happened to bump into me. I went to catch my boyfriend cheating. Catch someone cheating? This girl is really straightforward. Don't be so surprised. She didn't seem to care. My boyfriend, oh no, he should be my ex-boyfriend now. He's a gigolo. He eats, wears, and spends my money to pick up other women. Do you think that's reasonable? And the original owner, this idiot, this idiot, used to spoil him. But now it's different. Since I've met him, that scumbag's good days are over. After saying that, the woman patted her chest confidently. The logic of her words didn't quite match up. Others might not understand it. But for me, who has had the same experience and transmigrated to teach my spouse a lesson, it couldn't be more familiar. But I didn't expose her. I just smiled at her through the rearview mirror. You've gone through such unpleasant things. Things will turn around after reaching the extreme. Your future life will definitely go smoothly. Definitely. The woman laughed cheerfully. After dropping the woman off at the community, I went home, but I watched as she walked into the same building as me, got into the same elevator, and pressed the same floor button. Even the woman herself was surprised. So it turns out you're my new neighbor after all this time? She pointed to her own door. I just moved in. Please take care of me in the future. By the way, I bought some snacks. Would you like to come to my place and have a seat? Just as a thank you for showing me the way and giving me a ride. No, thanks. I nodded politely. I'm a bit tired today and want to have a good rest. Okay, then. Good night. After saying that, the woman turned around and walked into her house. I thought about it and still called out to her. Wait a moment. What's wrong? The woman stuck her head out in confusion. Since we're neighbors now, we might as well get to know each other. My name is Daniel. What's your name? I held out my hand to her. Only then did the woman realize that she had talked a lot in the car but had forgotten to introduce her own name. She blinked mechanically and immediately blushed. She looked really cute in that way, and I couldn't help but laugh. It doesn't matter. It's never too late to get to know each other now. You're right. The woman grinned at me and firmly shook my hand. I'm Vivian. After Vivian finished introducing herself, I went back to my own home. The next day, I went to the company as usual. General Manager Daniel, there's a Miss Vivian outside who said she wants to talk to you about a cooperation project. The assistant bowed to me. Vivian? Did she say what her name was? Vivian. What a coincidence. I adjusted my collar and went out to greet her. When Vivian saw me, she was pleasantly surprised. You're General Manager Daniel? I nodded. I heard that Vivian wants to discuss cooperation. Vivian waved her hand. Don't call me Vivian. It sounds strange. Just call me by my name. As she spoke, she handed me the project materials that were yet to be developed in her hand. I flipped through it briefly. It was very detailed, and it seemed worth a try. However, after all, a project is built with money, so cooperation should be treated with caution. Although Vivian comes from a well-known company, and it's even larger in scale than my company, I think Vivian is rather casual and doesn't seem like someone who can take on a big responsibility. However, Vivian seemed to realize my concerns. Just like her name suggests, at a specific moment, she can be very perceptive. The company belongs to my grandfather, and he was also personally involved in this project. I didn't care about anything before and was quite infatuated with love. Well, you should know that from what I told you yesterday. But now I've come to my senses and want to focus on my career. Don't worry. Although this project requires a large investment, I can guarantee that it will only make a profit and not suffer a loss. And if there are any mistakes during the project, my side will take full responsibility. My grandfather wants me to take over the company earlier, and he's willing to back this project. So, you're so sure it will only make a profit and not suffer a loss? I swear. If there are any mistakes, my side will not be responsible. Of course. Okay. I nodded. Happy cooperation. At the end of a day's work, as soon as I got home, Evelyn called me. What's going on between you and Julian? Her voice over the phone was extremely dissatisfied. What do you think is going on? I took off my coat unhurriedly, went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water, and drank it. Don't you have an idea in your mind? Evelyn was silent for a while and then began to persuade me earnestly. We're all old acquaintances. There's no need to be so unforgiving, right? Even for my sake. Your sake? I sneered. Where do you get the nerve to say that? Evelyn, do you think too highly of yourself or look down on me? We're already divorced. Whose sake are you talking about? Can you stop being so self-righteous? Daniel. Evelyn was furious but quickly regained her composure. She sighed and said, I promise you that as long as you withdraw the lawsuit, we can go back to the way we were before. I won't have any contact with Julian anymore, and I'll love you wholeheartedly. Don't be so stubborn, okay? You're already blinded by jealousy now. I know that you're targeting Julian because of me, but I don't want you to be like this. I'll be sad. And these accounts were handled by me. If you sue Julian, where does that leave me? Daniel, consider it my plea to you. Stop being so unreasonable, or we really won't have a future together. Are you out of your mind? We're already divorced. Where does this future come from? Suddenly, the other end of the phone held its breath, as if it was a scared reaction to hearing something unbelievable. I'll emphasize it again. First, you cheated on me during our marriage and got involved with Julian. Neither of you is a good person. Second, I didn't divorce you on a whim or out of a fit of temper. I saw your true colors and found you really disgusting. Third, I think you've misunderstood. I never said I was going to sue Julian. Evelyn extracted the key points from my words and her eyes lit up. Really? Then why did you? What I mean is, I'll sue both you and him. Evelyn fell silent again. Don't try to find loopholes. Maybe the former Daniel was an honest man, but I'm not that easy to talk to. Evelyn, this is the consequence of you betraying Daniel. You brought this upon yourself, and you can't blame others. After I finished speaking, before Evelyn could respond, I hung up the phone and blocked her number with one click. I took a hot shower. As soon as I came out of the bathroom, I heard someone knocking on the door. When I opened the door, it turned out to be Vivian. She scratched her head and gave a sheepish smile. I cooked too much rice. Would you like to come over and have dinner with me? I didn't react for a moment. Seeing that I was a bit confused, Vivian quickly explained, I don't mean to get too familiar. Work is work, and our private life is our private life. Perhaps feeling that the explanation wasn't clear enough, she added, just think of it as making a friend. It's just a meal. I won't eat you up. I couldn't help but laugh. Vivian also realized that what she said was inappropriate. She quickly turned around, covered her face, and regretted it silently for a few seconds before turning back to face me. No, I really didn't mean that. Got it, got it. I smiled and nodded, put my hands in my pockets, and gestured towards her house with my chin. It's hard to turn down such kind hospitality. There's no reason not to go. I followed Vivian to the next door. The meal wasn't very sumptuous. There was one meat dish, one vegetable dish, and one soup. Just as she said, she had simply cooked too much rice. But she was very enthusiastic and asked me what else I wanted to eat and said she would add another dish. I said it was already very good like this, and then she felt relieved and served me more rice. We sat opposite each other at the dining table. She suddenly said, let's have a chat. Otherwise, it's going to be really awkward. What should we talk about? Let me think. Vivian took a couple of bites of rice and then asked about my hobbies. I answered one by one, and then we talked about her hobbies. When we found that we had a high degree of similarity in our preferences, Vivian looked at me excitedly. There's actually someone so compatible with me in this world? I knew what she meant and smiled as I picked up a piece of food. What, you just transmigrated here and haven't adjusted yet? When Vivian heard this, she was choked by the hot soup and coughed continuously. She pointed at me in surprise. How do you know that Are you also someone who transmigrated here? I nodded and admitted it truthfully. Vivian became even more excited and grabbed me, calling me a fellow transmigrator. She talked to me a lot, from before she transmigrated to after she transmigrated. We chatted all night. It seemed that just because of the opportunity of transmigration, we quickly became familiar with each other and even became dining partners. She often invited me to her place for dinner, and I would also bring some cold dishes and fruits when I went. As for Evelyn, after she called me last time but was blocked by me, She was so angry that she came to the company to find me on her own initiative. I ignored her and asked the assistant to turn her away. Evelyn warned my assistant with a livid face. What do you mean? I've worked here for so long, and I have a share in this company. Moreover, I'm Daniel's wife. Why are you stopping me? The assistant just bowed to her respectfully. Miss Evelyn, you were just an acting manager and have now been fired by General Manager Daniel. This company has nothing to do with you. So, without the permission of General Manager Daniel, I can't let you in. Besides, General Manager Daniel has already divorced you, and you're just his ex-wife. Evelyn had no choice but to wait for me to get off work. But as soon as I got off work, I drove away and didn't give her a chance to speak at all. Evelyn couldn't stand it anymore. The next day, she waited for me to get off work and blocked my way in front of my car in advance. Do you really have to keep avoiding me? Evelyn sighed, trying to make concessions. Daniel, let's have a good talk. I have nothing to talk to you about. Do you really have to be like this? She slightly furrowed her brows, wearing a helpless expression. I thought you were a mature person, but I didn't expect you to throw a tantrum for so long over a trivial matter. I've already apologized to you. What else do you want from me? Are you out of your mind? It would have been better if she hadn't stopped my car and said these words. As soon as she did, I got angry. What do you mean by, what else do I want from you? From the beginning to the end, haven't you been the one chasing after me? Let me ask you, have you been constantly calling and harassing me? Have you been waiting for my car at the company? Did I ask you to do these things? Can you think before you speak? Your brain is so big, it can't just be a useless reservoir, right? Evelyn immediately became furious. She didn't expect me to scold her so rudely and was stunned for a moment. After a long while, she gradually came to her senses from her daze, and her face turned pale and then red. Daniel, don't go too far. Go too far? You're the one who's being unreasonable. Are you crazy? I rubbed my temples irritably, feeling the two tendons beside my head throbbing. Haven't I made myself clear enough? Even an idiot should understand by now, right? Fine, I'll assume you're an idiot and repeat it for you. I pointed at her and said, Daniel, don't accept women who cheat. I don't want a woman who's been unfaithful. I hate second-hand goods. Do you understand? To put it more simply, you're nothing to me now. You're the garbage I've thrown away. I even think my shoes will get dirty if I step on you twice. I can't wait to stay as far away from you as possible and never see you again. This time, Evelyn was completely stunned. Her face turned deathly pale, and she stood there motionless, like a marionette. She couldn't accept this result. She thought that even after the divorce, I still had feelings for her. She thought that as long as she persuaded me earnestly, I would definitely listen to her. She thought that even if everything else failed, and she had to swallow her pride and come to me to reconcile, I would agree without hesitation. She thought, it was all just what she thought. But all those things she thought had been shattered. Can you leave now? I said to her harshly. She stepped aside in a daze. I stepped on the gas and drove away, leaving her with only a trail of exhaust fumes. Perhaps because what I said this time was rather harsh and had some effect, Evelyn really didn't come to me again. I had a few peaceful days. One evening, I washed up at home and was about to go out to a restaurant with Vivian. She had invited me before, and I readily agreed. However, unexpectedly, as soon as I went out, I was blocked by Evelyn at the door. She burped drunkenly and looked at me with blurry eyes. Daniel, where are you going? Come and drink with me, come and... She held up an empty wine bottle and waved it in front of my eyes. I took a step back to keep a distance from her. Why did you drink so much? I asked her. You didn't come to find me. I missed you. As she said this, she threw herself at me. I sidestepped, and she missed, falling to the ground with a thud. Evelyn didn't even cry out in pain. She just sat there on the ground, looking up at me with a look of grievance in her eyes. If I hadn't come to find you, would you never have contacted me again? Yes. Why? Evelyn bit her lip, on the verge of tears. You used to love me so much. Indeed, the previous Daniel loved her very much. But as I said, that was Daniel, not me. You cheated on me. I looked down at her and softly uttered these 4 words. Evelyn was dazed for a moment and then let out a bitter laugh. I'm not willing to accept this. Daniel, I'm really not willing to accept this. You should have known about my relationship with Julian for a long time. I thought that if you didn't say anything, it meant you acquiesced. But why did you suddenly? What you said makes no sense at all. I looked down at her coldly. What do you mean that not saying anything means acquiescing? I tolerated you time and time again, but that's not a reason for you to push your luck. Before, when you stopped my car, you just talked about a lot of irrelevant things and didn't say that I couldn't hit you. So, can I assume that you don't want to live anymore? Can I assume that I can run over you without being held legally responsible? We're all adults. We all know very well that when you're wrong, you're wrong. There's no need to make excuses. It just makes you look ridiculous. Evelyn stared at me blankly. After a long while, she humbly grabbed the corner of my clothes. I know I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Next time, I will definitely not. There won't be a next time. I pulled her hand away. Some mistakes can't be forgiven just by apologizing. It's like a dead person can't be brought back to life. I heard your apology, but what about Daniel? A look of confusion appeared on Evelyn's face. Of course, she didn't understand the hidden meaning of my words, and I didn't intend to explain it either. Just leave. There's no connection between us anymore. I won't see you again either. The next time we meet, it might be in court. Is there really no room for maneuver? A tear rolled down from the corner of Evelyn's eye. She finally tasted the bitterness of regret. But it was too late. Before I transmigrated, she had countless opportunities to turn back, but she just had to go down the wrong path until the end, making her own path narrower and more hopeless. Who can she blame? I hope this is our last conversation. Evelyn, don't pester me anymore. I'm in a good mood today, so I can calm down and talk to you about these things slowly. But if one day I'm in a bad mood, it won't be as simple as just saying a few words like today. Of course, if you have a preference for going to the police station for a chat, that's up to you. After saying these words, I turned around and left, not even giving her a single glance. I was 20 minutes late for the appointment. From a distance, I saw Vivian sitting at a table by the window in the Western restaurant, resting her chin in her hand and waiting for me quietly. When she caught sight of me, she happily waved at me. I smiled and walked towards her. She didn't ask me why I was late. Instead, she said to me, I thought you weren't coming. How could I not come? I made an appointment with you. Vivian smiled brightly and nodded, let's order. We sat opposite each other, and the candlelight cast our shadows on the French windows. Evelyn slightly furrowed her brows and looked at me with a cold face. We chatted while eating, just like usual, talking about food and life. Finally, she said, it wouldn't be bad to be like this for a lifetime. The sound of the violin in the restaurant drowned out her voice, and I didn't hear it clearly. But I didn't ask her again. I just smiled and handed her the cut steak on my plate. Because I was also thinking that if it could be like this for a lifetime, it might really be quite good. Then again, a lifetime is a very distant thing. Who can guess what changes will happen in the future? I can only seize the moment and strive to become the happiest person in my heart.